Wednesday, leg day. Typically during my push-pull routine, I'll try to space out and do legs, focus on my quads during my push day and focus on hamstrings during my pull days, but I did not do that this week. So having a day dedicated to legs for now, it just kind of works, and I won't be able to walk for the next couple days, but that's how it goes. And yes, I realize that I am wearing the same clothes in each one of these videos so far, but that is just because these are my comfortable gym clothes, and I have 3 kids at the house, and I am constantly doing laundry, so constantly being like once a day between 2 teenage boys and and my youngest, who's a 12-year-old girl who is in her, or no, 10-year-old girl. Wow, 10-year-old girl who's in her comfy girl era. So we go through a lot of clothes very quickly. It's just been kind of a long couple of days. The whole purpose of these vlogs isn't necessarily just to talk about gym and weightlifting and my fitness journey. I wanted to talk about other things going on. I have other channels that I'll focus specifically on fitness niche, but did my taxes yesterday. I know, super exciting. Come to find out that TurboTax was greatly underestimating what I needed for my tax return for the state, and the only way that I was able to figure that out is that I went through all my taxes and I realized I was getting $300 back in a tax return, which on its face means that I was pretty damn accurate in terms of estimating what I needed to pay for taxes. But because you really shouldn't plan on getting money back, and you shouldn't have to pay into the system, but I was always of the mind that it was better to get paid than to pay in. So for the last however long I've been paying taxes for in the real world, I've always paid more in and always gotten a few $1,000s back on my tax return every year, and I kind of treated it as like my own bonus. But the fact of the matter is that just it's not the smartest way to do it, especially when you get older, because you don't want to be giving the government more money than you need to, because then that's basically a tax-free loan to them, and the money is better off in your pocket. So, but it still seemed abnormally low anyway, and I had a suspicion, so I ended up feeding my information, not my straight-up W-2, but all of the relevant information to calculate my taxes into Grok, and it actually told me that yes, there was a pretty major deduction that I was missing for the state of Maine, and I was like, oh, okay, so I should be getting a little bit more money back, which is kind of nice. So, and yes, I've waited way too long to do my taxes. It was always just something I said, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later, and then put it off, and here we are, just a couple weeks before they're actually due. And I know some people wait until they're actually due to do them, but I don't like waiting until the last second. You never know. But so that's exciting. Oh my God. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, that's how you know you've gotten old. It's just like when you're getting a tax return, getting money back. It's so freaking lame. But anyhow, so I'm in a season of change in my professional life as well. I've started my own company. I've decided to leave the current company that I'm in, and a lot of people people post online, no, don't do that. The economy's terrible, don't leave your job, now's a terrible time to look for another job. I graduated during the Great Recession in the early 2000s. I graduated in 2010. I graduated in a terrible job market. I have every single time that I have made a transition in my professional career, it has been in a bad job market. I'm not afraid of the job market. I don't think that people let these random economists and random commenters online influence them in terms of, oh, you know, the economy is so bad, the economy is so bad. If you have job skills, you're always going to be in demand. Like, yes, does AI throw a monkey wrench into things where people are applying to hundreds, if not thousands of jobs totally automatically? And, you know, are there companies that post ghost jobs? 100%. I personally, I guess, maybe I've just always gotten lucky, but I've transitioned my career. Boy, I've moved from Maine to Minnesota, back to Maine to Pennsylvania, and back to Maine again, and all of those were job transitions. A couple of them were within the same company, but I have just never seen this scarcity that they talk about. And ultimately, I think that what it comes down to is that there is no such thing as scarcity. I think that people get scared when they see, oh, there's 1,000 people getting laid off. What a lot of those headlines leave out, a lot of those people are contract workers. A lot of those people were on temporary visas or seasonal, and they were always going to be laid off inevitably anyway. Now, that doesn't mean that you should totally ignore every job market analysis that's out there, but the fact is that there's always another job. And if all it takes is just a little bit of networking to talk to an actual person, that's all it takes. And, you know, I'm not some job guru. I'm not some, you know, savant when it comes to to analyzing the job market and potential careers and whatever. But I don't know. I think a lot of people get faked out by what they see in the news and what they see on social media, and they feel like the economy is bad. Well, the economy is a mindset. The economy is not real. The economy is just, you know, what people make of it. A couple deer. So anyhow, so like I was saying, I am going to be transitioning to my own company, which I am very excited for. I've worked for other companies for 20 years now, and I've accrued enough experience and life skills that I want to venture out on my own. I have never felt like I was super comfortable in the corporate 9-to-5, and I think a few of my older videos I talk about that. But I'm finally at the point now where it's time to make the jump, and I'm confident in myself and what I have for skills and my abilities to be able to say that I can do that. So I formed my own LLC a few weeks ago. I have my official, you know, EIN number. I have a bank account. You know, I have a logo. I have a name. I have onboarding documents. I have all of the minutia that I think I need, and now I just need to jump. And which is always the hardest part, because especially for an overthinker, because you think, oh, I need to have this ready and that ready, and I need to have this analysis done, and you know, I need to, you know, there's always something else that we trick ourselves into thinking that we need to have, just one more thing, and to be over prepared. And my motto for my entire life has always been, luck favors the prepared. You know, I live by that. And, you know, the creed being, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. The problem is that it becomes a very limiting headspace for really anything in your life, but especially in the business aspect. And it's important to mitigate risk, but you can't let every potential risk that you think of hold you back from progressing. And the truth of it is too, is that you don't know what you need until you actually start experiencing things. You know, make it right first, make it perfect later. And that has always been something that I've struggled with personally. I'm getting better at it, and I am excited because this new venture into being self-employed. It's exciting. It's new. It's pushing outside of my comfort zone. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle with their corporate lives, is that they don't get that opportunity to try something new. They don't get to try something that's exciting and possibly risky. And like, we as humans are meant to take risks. We're meant to push the limits, professionally, personally, everywhere. And the corporate ladder does not allow for you to take risks because it's not a smart business decision. Like, you do not take a risk on the company dime. The company won't allow you to. Are there some companies that you might be able to get away with it and leverage additional education or skill training and all that stuff? Absolutely. But that's not really taking a risk. That's an investment into your future and thereby the company's future. So it's not necessarily a taking a risk or pushing your limits. It's why I'm such a strong advocate for people to be more involved in working out and the gym. It's not to push gym culture or fitness culture or diet culture or anything like that, any of those other buzzwords that get thrown out there. But I feel more people need to push themselves and see what they're actually capable of. I think everybody has just become so sedentary in all aspects of their lives, and the gym offers an opportunity for you to see that, hey, I could put myself through something hard and there's a benefit that comes out of it. There's a tangible benefit that comes out. You feel better after you work out, and when you're consistent at it, you see results, and it's fully on your efforts and nobody else's. Like, you can't attribute your success or your failures to anybody else. It is squarely on your shoulders. I know I transitioned a little bit away from talking about business, but it's the same principle when it comes to entrepreneurship too. You succeed or fail based on your own merits. And I find that really exciting. And I think I'll save this for another talk, but I think it's inevitable that more people become entrepreneurs. I think it's inevitable that we are going to be shifting away from the 9-to-5 corporate culture, and everybody ends up owning their own business, which I think will be a positive thing in the long run. And I'll talk more about that later. I've already droned on long enough for this mini vlog. But long story short, I think it's a good thing to push your envelope, push your limits, try new things, try the scary thing. It's usually not as scary as you think. And once you actually get into it, you realize that, hey, this monster actually wasn't as big of a deal as I made it out to be in my head. I mean, that's what I'm finding out for myself personally. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. So, all right, till tomorrow, guys. Peace.